Imagine walking home alone one evening. Suddenly you are assaulted, drugged, and kidnapped. Strange men drive you through the night and keep you prisoner in a dark, tiny room. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they want. They speak a language you don't even understand. I'm Chrissy B, and you are watching the only TV show dedicated to mental health and well-being. And what I described right now actually happened to my real-life story guest today, Elena Nikitina. She'll be telling us all about her horrific experience and how she got through it and why she decided to write a memoir about her experience called Girl Taken, a true story of abduction, captivity and survival. So what else do we have in store for you today? Resident clinical psychologist Dr. Nihara Krause will be talking about dealing with trauma and also how family members can help a victim. And news correspondent Helena Chard is back, bringing us all the positive news out there. We'll also be visiting the Deli at 80 with our nutritionist Hannah Richards and finding out why it's important to support our local community, eat organic and look after the soil and sustainability. Plus, Dr. Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions. And finally, Severine Menem will be rustling up something healthy and delicious. So let's get straight to our real-life story guest for today, Elena Nikitina. Welcome to the show, Elena.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So much for coming on, because you do have a really difficult story to tell, but I feel that it's really important that you do tell it to help other people that may be going through some kind of trauma. So can you tell us what life was like before the kidnapping, first of all?
Life seemed like such a wonderful thing, filled with great hopes, big dreams. I was a happy student, in love with my boyfriend, and we were having so much fun planning our future, thinking that something truly magical is just about to happen. And I remember that time very clearly, because soon it ended, abruptly and suddenly.
How old were you when the incident took place?
That was just 3 weeks after my 21st birthday.
3 weeks after, wow. Can you talk us through what actually happened that day and how the events unfolded?
It was evening of October 4th, 1994. We were hanging out with some friends at the restaurant just across the alley from my home. We were, having fun, just celebrating our beauty and youth. And I went into an argument with my boyfriend over something really silly, and I decided to leave the party. And the next thing I knew, I was in a car surrounded by strangers talking in foreign language. They drugged me, they drove me to another country and kept prisoner for 8 months. In a tiny.
So this was, where did this incident take place?
It was in Russia.
In Russia, okay.
Yes.
And do you know where you at the time? Where were you taken? You didn't know.
No, that I figured later.
Afterwards. Wow.
Yes.
So can you just tell us what was going through your mind at that time when all this was taking place, when you actually were taken?
I was drugged. I don't really remember that particular moment.
Okay.
I was just put in a dark abyss because they put me on drugs. And I woke up in the middle of the night in a car surrounded by strangers, and they just drove me to another country, and I was there for long 247 days and nights.
Wow. So can you tell us then, when you actually realized what had happened, can you tell us how things went from there, when you realized you had been taken, when you kind of came to your senses?
It took for some time for me to understand what was happening, because they only told me that I was kidnapped and they were trying to ransom me back to my mom after a few weeks. Okay. I was in a darkness. I didn't know what did I do to going through things like that. I didn't know. Just later they told me.
What was the communication? How many? Do you know how many there were?
No, there were many of them, and they kept me in a room, in a tiny room at first, and then in a pit under a house later.
Wow.
And they didn't they speak Russian, but one of them or a couple of them, they did. Mm-hmm. So the communication was limited, but I still had some chance to understand and to know what was happening.
How did they treat you?
I think I was lucky enough to not experience that much of a pain. Of course, my, anguish and helplessness were the worst, but they treated me pretty well. There were bad days, there were good days.
Yeah. Well, how did you keep, obviously, because being in that kind of environment and not knowing what was going to happen to you and if you were going to make it out even alive, how did you keep yourself mentally strong, or did you fall apart?
I was just trying to live my life one day at a time, and it was really hard to cooperate because every day was the same, and every new day was exactly like the previous one. I have very short and dreamless nights and endless pointless days ahead of me for a long 8 months.
So were you just literally there? There was nothing for you to do in terms of, there was nothing to read, there was no...
I was enclosed in a small tiny room at first, and then they moved me to another place where they kept me in the family, in the room, in a locked room inside of the family home, one of the captors' home. And then they moved me to a little pit under house. And after a few weeks, the civil war broke out. That made things even worse because there was no electricity.
Are you able to say where this was now? Is this
Pardon me?
Or are you able to say which country this was in now?
Chechnya.
Okay.
It was Chechnya,
okay.
And the civil war broke out. Mm-hmm. So it brought tremendous difficulties to whatever I had already. And I spent 8 months, as I said, and I was witnessing bombings and surviving sexual violence, and of course atrocities of war. That was the worst.
Could you actually see what was happening outside?
I heard, and I only could experience bombing at the last place where they kept me because the war spread around the country, and they moved me to a mountain village where all the people who were fighting the war, they were gathering at that place at some point, and that where I survived the bombing once.
Elena, what would you say was your worst moment in all this ordeal?
There were many. There were many terrible things, including encounters with captors, and the war and bombing and everything. But for me, I think the worst was that endless feeling of unbearable anguish and helplessness. And I was thinking about my mom a lot, and that broke my heart. Because she didn't know if I was alive even, because when the war started, all the contacts were cut off, the post office was bombed, and they could not communicate with my mom anymore. So there was no chance for negotiation or for my release.
So up to that point, she knew you were alive, and now she didn't know.
And then all the contacts were cut off.
Wow.
Yes, it broke my heart because my mom didn't know anything for a very long time. I think it starts in December, for like more than 6 months.
Wow. In all of this, Elena, you actually did something really brave because you saw an opportunity one day that you could actually try and get away. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it was the most incredible moment of my life, I think, because one morning I woke up very early to discover that the pit's door was not locked and I didn't see anyone around. And I knew immediately it was my chance, my only last chance, and I just walked away, believe it or not. I just walked away. I walked and walked towards the mountains where all the bombings were coming from lately. And I didn't even know how long I was walking until I saw the military tent and some commotion around it. And then moments later, the authorities just brought me to the safe place. So
it's amazing how no one saw you. Did you just sort of walk out casually? Were you trying to hide? How did it
I was wearing the only dress, the only outfit I had there was a long dress and my handkerchief on my head to cover hair. I was walking the dress, and when the soldiers saw me, they confused me with suicide bomber. They kind of arrested me, but I was so euphoric. I was ultimately happy, so I was just broken tears. But they, in the moments, they knew who I was because they had that on the file or something like that. So,
how did it feel getting away from all of that day?
Surreal. Completely and ultimately surreal. It was, I've been dreaming about that moment for a very long time, and it came, and I just took my chance.
So you held on to that hope then, because you could have been there thinking, well, this is it for me, I'm going to die here, but you actually kept your mind on the day that you would actually leave.
I never stopped believing in it. It was my religion I lived by. I was always preparing. I was ready to leave at any moment, but just once my faith was shaken, just only once, when one of the captors who was going to help me to escape, as I thought, he was killed in a war. And that was the moment when I thought, I was done. I was tired. I just lost all my hopes, but then I managed to acquire my faith back.
And you did it yourself. You didn't need anyone. You just walked on out. That was amazing. Elena, we're going to go to a quick break. You're doing really well, my sweetheart. Really good.
Thank you.
We're going to go to a quick break, and then after the break, we're going to find out what you're doing now. And you've actually written a book about everything, and how things are today as well. So do join us, guys, after this. I did put the dance together because the dance actually shows the fight against depression. So as you know, you've got some punching moves in there, you've got that throwing out anything that's negative. So when you're actually doing the dance, just remember that the reason behind it is like you saying, I don't accept to be put down by any kind of problem, and I'm going to fight back.
We think it's a really, really important thing for them to be aware of being mentally and emotionally well as succeeding with their academic success. So when we heard about this dance, we just thought it was amazing.
We like to encourage students to open up if they are going through any problem and let them know that it's okay to talk, that it's okay if you're going through a problem, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Waving the flags, I think it's like saying to your worries, go away and don't come back.
I found the dance, I thought everybody enjoyed it because it could represent our big and small feelings.
Stop, stop, stop! Stop, 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 step back and point and wave! Stand and crush! Stand and crush!
challenge is so important?
I think it's very important because it's a very interactive way for young people to take part and know the stigma around mental health and actually make a change.
It was really energetic and everyone took part in it and really got in there.
I think it's more important because of the actual mental health, not like going on the telly, like the mental health part, because it's quite important. Like if you just ignore it, then a lot of bad things could happen.
I think it's really important in our school we do take it seriously. Our children are really young, but obviously we want to talk to them about feelings and to recognise the different feelings that they have.
Oxymers, are you ready? Yeah! Are you sure? Yeah! Let's go! And turn! 2, 1, 2, 3, get up!
Great pleasure to present you with our official Chrissy B Show participative certificate.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So if you were with us before the break, I was speaking to Elena Nikitina, who's been telling us her amazing story of actually being kidnapped and held captive for, how long was it in total? 8 months. 8 months. And she told us about her escape. And now she's going to be telling us what she's doing today and why she's written her book, Girl Taken, A True Story of Abduction, Captivity and Survival. So Elena, first of all, tell us about being reunited with your mum, because this was the day you were dreaming about. So tell us about that moment when you saw your mum after so long.
Yeah, it was just a moment of silence. We just hugged and we were staying like that, crying all over for so long.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the moment of pure happiness.
Oh, I can imagine. How has this experience changed your life?
It's hard to say how my life would be without it. But to begin with, when I decided to go forward with my life, I just locked all my memories inside and I buried them inside, and I decided not to remember, just in order to be able to proceed, because it was too painful to discuss even with my mom. We never discussed it, believe it or not.
Wow.
For like 23 years, we never ever discussed with her.
Wow.
Yes, because
so then why did you decide to write? Because obviously you haven't kept it locked up because you've written everything.
Because I finally I finally got my strength to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
now's the time.
I was confident. Yes, it was just the time to start to speak up and to start sharing my story.
And what was it like actually writing this? Because obviously it must have been difficult, sort of reliving.
Pretty painful.
Yeah.
I would say it was pretty painful. Mm-hmm. It was just like a volcano that burst.
But did you feel like you were dealing with things now, though? Now that it's sort of down on paper.
I thought it may be my therapy to feel better, but what really feels better, the feedback from people I'm getting right now. And they said, it's just amazing how people say that my book helped them to understand some things or don't take life for granted. It's a great feeling.
What's life like for you today? How are things now?
Amazing, you can say. I'm meeting interesting people and I'm getting new friends and amazing words that just, my mission is accomplished, I think, with if people find my book helpful.
That's great.
It's a great feeling.
And if someone's watching now that has been through something traumatic, maybe not obviously the same situation as you, but something that's been really difficult for them, and now they're thinking to themselves, I don't see life after this incident. I can't see myself ever being happy again after what's happened to me. What would you say to them?
Unfortunately, there are many victims out there traumatized by different things and destroyed mentally and physically. And the only one thing I can tell them based on my own experience, that we always have a choice to remain a victim or to become a survivor. It's just important to make that right choice and make that step towards the right choice.
So inspirational. Elena, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story. All the best with the book and everything you're doing.
Thank you so much.
It was really great to have you on the show today. Thank you. So everybody do stay tuned, because now we're going to speak to Dr. Nihara Krause all about trauma. Welcome to the show, Nihara.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
So we just heard a powerful story there, but what actually happens to a person mentally when they go through trauma?
Well, it varies depending on the trauma, depending on the age of the person, depending on how frequently they might have been traumatized. But in general, what happens when we experience something traumatic is that our brain goes into it's like a huge stress. So if you imagine a circuit, an electric circuit being kind of blasted open, it's a bit like that. And what then happens is that it's really hard to process anything. So you don't really process the information, you can't access the emotions. All you know is that something terrible is happening in front of you. And so the more primitive bit of your brain, which is all about protecting you, will take over. And that will kind of keep repeating almost, in terms of going over and over what happened, for example, or almost finding it difficult to take in and believe. And that process can last a very long time.
Okay, and what's the best kind of treatment in these kind of situations?
Well, there's lots and lots of different types of treatment. Again, it depends on the person. But first and foremost, you need to feel safe. So, creating any way that might be sort of following a routine that being with people who make you safe, doing things that might be safe. You might kind of retreat back into an earlier age. So you might kind of want someone to sleep with you, for example. And then from there are talking therapies, if that is, if that works for you. There's a specific form of treatment called EMDR, which is specifically trauma focused. That's very effective. So, think about it. And the timing of when you receive treatment is also really important.
Okay. And just one last question, Nihara, because Elena was mentioning her story that when she actually got home and she was reunited with her mum, they didn't talk about the situation at all for like over 20 years. She didn't sort of feel comfortable to open up. But in their case, obviously family members, they do want to help their loved one. What do you think is the best way to help someone that's been through something so bad?
I think the best way is to make them feel safe. So do things for them that are comforting, that are loving, that are caring, and give them the opportunity to talk about it. So don't force them, but just be a listener. And again, listener rather than offering advice. And also put up with whatever emotions might come up, because sometimes you might have a very angry person, a very upset person. You just need to see that that's kind of, they're just experiencing something they've gone through. So be understanding and patient.
Very patient, obviously. Yeah. All right, Nihara, thank you so much, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
Okay, everybody, so now it's time to head over to Helena Chard in this week's A Helping of Happy. Welcome to the show, Helena.
Thank you, Chrissy.
So we had quite a harrowing story earlier all about trauma, but things did turn out really well, and Elena's written her book. But what kind of stories have you found for us this week?
Well, I've got a few stories. So starting with coping with trauma through a camera lens, which is something that appeals to me because I love photography. So it's a London-based photography group helping people who suffered from trauma get back on their feet, and that's from a human rights point of view.
Okay.
It's organised by the Helen Bamber Foundation, and it helps survivors of torture, trafficking, slavery, as you say, human rights things. Helping legally and therapeutics, so people to get back on track, which is great. And there's one case study, a guy called Kazan, and he's an asylum seeker. He fled Sri Lanka. He's over here at the moment. He was imprisoned and tortured, so he's over here at the moment. Unfortunately, he's now detained in London while they look through his papers and various things, which means he can't work. He can't study, he's in limbo. Friends, family, he hasn't really, well, I should say he didn't have that. But this photography group has really proved a lifeline. And so 1 year later, he sort of has a reason to get out of bed, and he's found happiness again, even though he's not doing everything that he wants to do.
But he's found something to do, which is really good. Yeah.
And the actual photographer, Alexandra Carlos Tolra, who's brilliant actually, her photography is super, working with the University College of London, looking into the impact of art therapy in displaced communities, and it just gives people a voice to express how they feel. It's a universal language, so really exciting, so it's fabulous. Moving on to just a little bit about the A40 plane crash, which again is one of my nightmares. Ex-bomb disposal sergeant Joel Snare, who's 35 now, and he's been discharged with PTSD earlier this year. He helped save all 3 people from this flight, which literally went down in Abergavenny. And obviously he's a bomb disposal guy, army veteran for like 15 years, so he's tough, and he didn't think anything of it. He just ran, pulled them out, and it's a miracle they're alive. But how amazing is that? So it was really,
it's nice that somebody actually did that instead of taking out their phone and filming like we see nowadays. Sort of helping. They just like want to film everything. And finally, a rescue dog was found in a ditch. Now, Leslie Steinck is part of the RCMP, which is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and she rescues dogs to help her with her PTSD. And the good thing about it, she found this male husky who she absolutely loved, and she nursed him back to brilliant. But she realised she couldn't have him because the whole idea is that she has to save lots of dogs. She can't have them. So she was looking for a forever home for him, which has happened. And amazingly, it's Sophie who's a clinical psychologist. And the good thing is that he's now been made into a therapy dog, and he's going to be helping first responders with their own battle with PTSD. So it's done full circle, which is so lovely, which is really, really exciting. And I would like to do another story, but I think we might have to leave it. We might have to have a donut instead.
I will leave the donut for you.
Thank you. Helena, thank you so much. And we'll see you again next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, everybody, so after the break, we'll be visiting the Deli at 80 with our nutritionist Hannah Richards and finding out why it's important to support our local community, eat organic and look after the soil and sustainability. Plus, Dr Rob Hicks will be answering your medical questions, including this very interesting one. Why does my belly button smell and how should I clean it? Find out the answer after this break. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, host of the UK's only TV programme dedicated to mental health and well-being, The Chrissy B Show, which airs on MyTV Sky 191 every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Follow our social media on YouTube, Instagram and Twitter at Chrissy B Show and our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. For more information, visit chrissybshow.tv. Welcome back to today's Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time to get your medical questions answered with Dr. Rob Hicks. Hello, Rob, and are you ready?
Always.
Wonderful. Okay, so we have a couple of questions for you. This is an interesting one. Why does my belly button smell and how should I clean it?
That is an interesting one.
Do you get these kind of questions
You
often?
know what? I don't think I've ever been asked that question.
Oh.
So that's great. It's the first time. First time for this one.
Well, we can be asked anything on this show, don't we?
Yeah, and I like it that people do ask anything.
Yeah.
Because often it's things that people think are trivial that are actually causing them an awful lot of distress. Mm-hmm. So well done for asking that question. The answer is usually the cause of a belly button smelling is because you're not cleaning it properly. So that's often because often the belly button gets sort of forgotten about. It gets people don't take the time to clean it, and I'll come to how you clean it, safely in a moment. The other thing is sometimes there's something got stuck in there, so it might be a collection of fluff, or sometimes food has got in there somehow.
Food?
Who knows? But if something's gathered there, it might be sort of festering a little bit. It is possible also to have a fungal infection, but with that, it's generally you'll get the skin will be scaly, it'll be red, it may be itchy, and it may discharge. So those are the likely causes. But more often than not, it's down to how you're not cleaning it effectively. How do you do that? Get a soft washcloth or a cotton bud, a solution of salt water or a mild soap, and very gently massage the inside of the belly button with the washcloth or the cotton bud. Then rinse it with plain water and then dry it by actually patting it dry with a towel, or you can use a hairdryer on a very, very low heat setting to dry it that way. It goes without saying, if you're getting symptoms that are suggestive of an infection, then see your doctor, because it may mean that you need specific treatment. But I would give the cleansing process a go first, and hopefully that will solve the problem for you.
Okay, so I'm just getting these images of cheese sandwiches stuck in belly buttons and stuff.
You'll be surprised what I've seen in belly buttons over the years.
All right, I won't ask. Okay, next question, Rob. My friend has endometriosis. She was in hospital this weekend with severe pain. Can you please explain this condition, what causes it, and how to deal with it?
Yeah, this can be a very, very painful and a very miserable condition. It affects women. What happens is that cells that are similar to those that line the womb actually grow elsewhere in the body. So very often it's the fallopian tubes or the ovaries. It's most common in women aged in their 30s and 40s. That said, it can affect younger women and older women as well. It can be, nobody really knows what causes it. It might be that actually blood during a period that normally would come out actually goes backwards from the womb into the fallopian tubes, and that sort of seeds these cells there. It certainly has a genetic link. It might be because these cells are being transferred in the circulation, or it might be related to the immune system. Nobody clearly knows exactly why it happens. But pain, pelvic pain, so that's lower abdominal pain and back pain, worse during a period, is a very, very common symptom. Pain during or after sex is another common symptom. Very painful periods that actually stop a woman from doing her usual activities is a common symptom, and heavy periods as well. And one of the problems with endometriosis that women find, if they're trying to fall pregnant, often it's harder for them because of the endometriosis. And so as a consequence of that, you often find that women become very, very depressed because of the pain of the symptoms, but also if they're trying to have a baby, because that's more difficult. Now, on the positive side, there are treatments available. So painkillers, anti-inflammatories are sufficient for many women. Sometimes hormonal medicines are needed. And for some women, surgery is needed to remove the patches of the endometriosis or to remove part or all of the organs that are affected. So hysterectomy, for example. So it's good that you asked the question. Now you've hopefully got more information and more knowledge about it, so you can help your friend in the future manage her condition herself.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again next time.
Yes, you will.
Brilliant. So everybody, now it's time to take a look at our visit to the Deli at 80 with our nutritionist, Hannah Richards.
Morning, guys. I'm in Stroud Green Road and I'm about to go to one of my favourite places. It's called the Deli at 80, and I love it because they have refill stations, so you can get all your cleaning products and you can get your olive oil. Plus, it's organic, they support local, and I'm going to show you a few of my favourite things. So I'm here at the deli and I've just taken a basket, which they give you when you come in. But my top tip, guys, would be to bring a canvas bag with you wherever you go. And that way, you don't need to take a plastic bag, because sometimes we all get a bit caught short. So if you have one in your bag with you, then you'll be saving the planet bit by bit. Now with me, I brought my washing up bottle because they have a refill station. And I brought my glass bottle because they have an olive oil refill station as well. And it's really great if you just look into your local community, where can you find your nearest refill stations? And that way, you don't have to be using single-use plastic as much as you might. So, let's have a look at what's in the deli. One of the things I always buy here is organic mayonnaise. Now some people get a bit nervous about mayonnaise, thinking it's bad for you or it's a bit too fatty. But the truth is, it's just olive oil and egg. And this is organic, so it's got no nasties in it. Now, people always ask me about organic, and really the reason I eat organic is because somebody somewhere really cares and loves the soil. It's not full of pesticides and chemicals, so you know that your body's getting the most optimal nutrition you can. When it's non-organic, then your body is going to have to be filtering all those chemicals. So obviously we can't do it all the time, but when you see organic, I definitely give it a go. So all these things here in the refrigerator, there's such a wide choice. There may be things that you don't see in your normal supermarket, and that's why when you shop local, you find these little treats and gems, and that's what I love about the deli. Over here, we've got a really great selection of bread. It's from a local supplier. They've got rye bread, sourdough bread, and again, this is really good nutrition rather than the bread that can stay on the shelves for such a long time. So I'm going to take a sourdough. And the cakes as well, they've always got good cakes in here, but I'm going to be good and stay clear of it. If you are looking for a really good bottle of wine, then you can definitely count on the deli to serve you. They really love and care about all their wines. And I've been to talks here before where they've talked to us about the grape and the process, and you'll definitely find a really good bottle of red, organic, and a white, organic, and they'll tell you a story about them as well. They're very knowledgeable here about that. Then you've just got what I would say is just some really nice little treats. You've got such a great collection. Teas, chocolate, spreads, tapenades. I especially love their nut butter collection because there's such a good choice. I'm a big fan of nut butter, and you always want to make sure your nut butter hasn't got any palm oil in it, and none of these brands have. So it's just a really nice eye-opening experience to lots of different flavors and lots of different tastes. Over here, we've got some cheeses, and a lot of them are from France, from Spain, and from England as well. All the food here that they have on the boards is all made in this shop, freshly from local suppliers, and some really fantastic flavors. Breakfast here is really great. So now I'm going to show you their refill stations. So here we've got the olive oil refill station, and I've got my glass bottle. And the great thing is if you find your refill station, you know, you're not adding to all that plastic in the planet. We're really lucky in this area to have this olive oil stations. And actually all you probably need to do is just have a little Google and find out where you can do your refilling as well. Sometimes they have nut butter refills and different products. So all it is just looking a little bit harder to find your supplier. So then they've got this really cool thing here called Crop Drop. It's like a farm drop. So you order all your fruit and vegetables and you sign up and you put it here and you can come in with your sustainable bag and you've done your shopping. So now I'm going to have a well-deserved sit down and a cup of the finest coffee. One of the most important things about supporting local food, local farms, is that it creates a sense of community. And the more we all stick together supporting seasonal food, the more community that we build, the more knowledge and education that we can build around that, the better it is for our health. So find your local community and support the local farmers, the local community by buying seasonally and getting involved, learning and understanding what it takes to be healthy emotionally and mentally.
Thank you very much to Hannah there. So do stay tuned because after the break, I'll be sharing my final thought of the day, and we also have another of our nutritionists, Severine Menem, rustling up something healthy and delicious. I decided on a dance because dance, crosses all barriers.
It's very inspirational and it sort of let out the feelings of mental health.
The dance helps you express yourself and your feelings, and that you can tell someone about how you feel except from being scared.
It actually aims to encourage people to open up and get the help that they need without the fear of being stigmatized.
You can express emotions through the dance.
Everyone should have the right to feel happy.
Good morning, are you excited about today?
Today we are at Brookman's Primary School.
I'm here today with years 5 and 6 at St Michael's Church of England School in Bishop Stortford.
Hi everyone, today we're here at Hillingdon Manor School.
MHD Challenge, Mental Health Dance in Studio 68.
This has been Hendon School for the MHD Challenge.
Today we're at Oxywood Primary School to do the MHD Challenge.
Because I know what it feels like to be depressed and feel heavy all the time, but I also know what it feels like to be on the other side and completely recovered. I don't want anyone to have to learn to live with depression and other mental health issues when they don't have to. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, your age. Everyone can get involved in dancing.
No one necessarily remembers their best maths lesson that they've had or their best literacy lesson, but I think they'll remember their best mental health dance challenge that they've had.
What did you think of the dance when you first heard of it?
I thought it was going to be amazing.
Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everybody. So now it's time for more nutrition, this time with our lovely Severine Menem. Welcome to the show, Severine.
Hi, Chrissy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just loving all these ingredients you've got on the table here.
Wonderful.
What we're making and why?
So today we're making a watermelon and feta salad because days are getting warmer and warmer. So it's great for lunch. It's great for picnic.
Wonderful.
And summer is almost there.
And nutritional benefits of this lovely
thing? So usually, you probably heard of the feta cheese in the watermelon and feta salad, and usually it's only these two ingredients. But I like to have at least 3 different vegetable or fruit and vegetable and some protein and fats to make it really nutritional and to not be hungry after half an hour.
Okay, so you've added what? We've got the rocket.
So yes, I've added some rocket, some cucumber, a bit of mint for extra boosting nutrients.
Lovely. Okay, so let's take it away.
Yes, so let's start. So it's probably unusual to add a rocket to this kind of salad, but the reason I did that is because rocket is actually part of the cruciferous family, the broccoli, and we all know how wonderful it is for health, and we're supposed to have 1 portion per meal. So this is an easy way to have it, and also because it's a bitter herb, it really helps with liver issues.
Okay.
And also, small quiz, do you know why they call it rocket? Because I only found out recently.
No, I don't.
Because apparently this salad grows at the speed of a rocket.
Oh, okay.
Yes, this is really weird, and that's how we call it in Europe, but in the US they call it arugula. So a different way. Okay. So this is really nice, and it's really high in vitamin C, so good for the skin, good for the health of blood vessel, and that's what I had to say. Right. Then we add some cucumber. So it's same color, but sometimes we can do that too. So cucumber, I spoke about it last time I did the salad. What I wanted to add this week is I found out that just like avocado, cucumber is supposed to be a fruit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is weird.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I've never heard that before. I think my information is reliable, but
if anyone knows for sure, you can ask.
Yeah, that would be good because I'm not a botanist. I'm a nutritionist, so it's interesting. But it's really high in vitamin K, which is good when you're bruising easily because vitamin K it's for blood clotting. And because we're getting into summer, we're supposed to be hot. Sometimes it's really hard to drink a lot of water.
Yeah, so we've got
watermelon and cucumber are 90 to 95% water, so it's really easy to drink the water with the food. So here is why I added some cucumber, or maybe I have a bit more. Next is watermelon.
Yes,
so watermelon, lots of water as well. I started preparing it, and then I thought,
a bit more.
Maybe you want to help me.
I love this little contraption.
Yes, so watermelon.
It's easy to use. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
What did I want to say about watermelon? Oh, watermelon actually is really high in lycopene. You probably heard about lycopene because it's one of the very good, I mean, all antioxidants are really good, but this one helps with skin issues, with heart health, and it's usually really high in tomatoes.
Yeah.
But the tomatoes needs to be warmed up, as in tomato sauce or ketchup in order to get the lycopene. But in a similar kind of portion, watermelon has more lycopene and it is more bioavailable, which means that the body absorbs it a lot more easily.
Okay, I have to say this is really fun doing this.
Good, well enjoy it. I really enjoy you doing the work for me.
Okay,
so that's about watermelon.
Shall I stop now?
It depends how much watermelon you want.
I'm just enjoying doing this.
Watermelon is really high in vitamin C, like most fruits, and in vitamin A as well. Everything that is kind of pinkish, orange, lots of vitamin A. And water, that's what I said. Cool. Okay, next is cheese. So cheese is part protein, part fat, so it does help. This one is feta cheese. The good thing about feta cheese is, it's supposed to come from Greece. It's a protected name, like champagne is supposed to come from France. Feta cheese is supposed to come from Greece. And for people who have issues with dairy, they might actually be able to eat the proper feta cheese because it's made up not from cow's milk, but from sheep's milk. Or a mix of sheep and goat's cheese. And those animals can't be fed on grains, only on grass. That's why some people might have some feta cheese and not other cheese. So that's really good. And a funny thing, not a funny thing, but a nutritional fact about that, feta cheese is higher in calcium and the B vitamins as cheese such as mozzarella or ricotta. So it's great.
So healthy, I'm going to have some of that.
Everything is healthy here. Yes, everything is healthy. So next, I always try to add some fresh herbs because it's really a boost. Mint tends to be associated with desserts or something which is cold, and it actually helps with digestion. So if you have indigestion, that tends to help.
That's good.
And the way it works, it helps with bile production and bile flow. And do you remember what bile does to the body?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, you have nutritionists coming every week, so I don't want to be like, so bile really helps break down the fat and absorb it.
Okay, let's put loads of that in there.
Oh, really? Okay. So lots of it. I like to shred it.
Break down that
smells
fat.
so nice, and you've got the essential oils.
Beautiful, yeah.
So you can
looks so far.
season it with salt and pepper. I wouldn't add salt because the cheese is really salty, but a bit of pepper would be nice because pepper also has its
it looks lovely as well, doesn't it?
Facial qualities. And in terms of dressing, you can do many ways. I like to use just lime. Some people use olive oil. Some people balsamic glaze. I mean, you can do anything you want. But today, it's going to be lime.
Lovely jubbly.
Yeah.
We won't try this because it's going to be messy because I still have to talk. My final thought of the day. But there you have it. It's very simple, very nutritious.
And it's
for Severine's rocket cucumber, watermelon and feta salad, everybody. Smells amazing. I'm sure it tastes amazing.
Thank you.
Let's see the final there. There you go, guys. Thank you very much, Severine, and we'll see you again next time. And guys, if you want more information about Severine, please do head over to our website, chrissybshow.tv. Scroll down and you can find all her information there. So now it's time for my final thought of the day. So everyone, we have reached the end of today's program, but before we finish, I'd just like to share my final thoughts on today's program. So again, thank you very much to all of my guests, and thank you especially to Elena for sharing her story. Now, she has been through so much, and you know, she broke the silence after over 20 years of keeping everything inside. And I'm so glad she did, because obviously that helped her to move past what happened to her. Now she's actually sharing her story, which has been really, really good for her. So there are two things actually I'd like to draw on from Elena's story. The first one is to do with hope, and the second one is to do with opportunity. Now, I asked her the question, what actually kept her going, even though she was going through so much and everything seemed like so messed up for her. But she said she always held on to the hope that one day she would actually get out of that situation. There was a period when she thought all hope was lost, but somehow she managed to regain the hope again until the day came when she could actually get away from that situation. And again, it's something that I talk about time and time again on this program, but I think it's so important. If you lose hope, you lose everything, because you will not be looking for opportunities to actually change your life. If you give up, what is there to do? Like I said, if people try to come and help you, you've already decided that things can't change for you. If opportunities just come up to do something that might actually take you out of that situation, you won't even see them. So she held on to that hope. And then the opportunity came because she didn't actually say in her interview with me, but I have watched her interview and read some things up about her, and she actually said that she was under constant surveillance. So the fact that day she checked, they'd left the door unlocked and there was no guard there at where she was staying, she took that opportunity immediately. So if she'd given up hope, imagine, she'd given up hope, she'd just be there, she probably wouldn't even get up to check the door. She could still be in that situation, imagine. So the fact that, you know, she saw the opportunity and she took it, that's what led to her escape and her reuniting with her mum. So hope leads to opportunities. So her hope led to an opportunity that she saw and she took, and that's why she's fine today. So always have hope, never ever lose hope, and when the opportunity comes, grab it with both hands and get running. Okay, so I hope this has helped you today. I'm sure the show's inspired you today, because there was a lot of food for thought. So everybody, time to say goodbye, but if you have a story that you would like to share, please do get in touch with us by emailing info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet or Instagram us @ChrissyBShow, or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. And if you'd like to know more about my mental health journey, please visit my website, which is mylifeafterdepression.com. Until next time,